Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel and I'm super excited to be here today to share with you the October 2025 Altenew release. This video is part of the October 2025 release video hop, and the big news is that there are tons of prizes to be had, $300 in total prizes as a matter of fact, so be sure to comment below for your chance to win. But for now, let's take a look at some of the items I'll be using today. First up, we have the Ethereal Blooms stamps and dies. That's a layering set. Then we have the Enchanted Vines die set. There are some layers that you can create there as well. Then the Petalcraft Layering Die Set. That's one of those keyhole sets. Here's a little sneak peek at something that's coming later that I didn't know was not coming now. And then there's a couple of embossing folders, as well as the mini sentiments 3D embossing folder. So let's start with that Enchanted Vines die. I decided, because some of the vines are very thin, I decided to cut it out twice and adhere it together. For me, that just made it a little bit easier to work with. I want to put this on a piece of cardstock as my card panel, and when I'm gluing it down, sometimes having those very thin pieces, if you're just a little too rough with it, you're going to tear something or whatever. So I like to have those two layers together. Then I'll take some liquid adhesive and put all little dots all around the back. The reason I put so much back there is because even if there's a little piece that gets pulled up, it's going to tear off the card. Next, we have those Petalcraft layering dies. I like to do a little ink blending on the edges with some Altenew ink and their blender brushes, and then use the pickup tool to grab those little die cuts and layer them on top of each other. There are two different flowers that you can create. You can see this one that I'm creating right now has rounded petals, and the other one has pointed petals. And each of those will have its own keyhole. Then the center will have that same keyhole, and then there'll be a piece that matches that particular center, and you'll just place that right on top. So here's the keyhole, everything put together on the pointed petals, and then I'll just put a little liquid adhesive on that keyhole flower center, and then there's the flower center without a keyhole. It just goes right on top to cover up that hole. This is that mini sentiments 3D embossing folder, and I'll just swipe a little bit of ink on top just so that those words really stand out. This is a fun way to get a whole bunch of sentiments on one piece, and then you can trim them down into sentiment strips just using a paper trimmer. And I like to trim them all at once and then use them, whatever I'm using on my card, and then place the rest in a pocket in the back behind the 3D embossing folder. So I'll add the little Petalcraft flowers, and then a little sneak peek at something that's coming in November, and then that sentiment in the center, and a few gems just to add a little bit of shine to this otherwise just cardstock card. I love those vines. I think they're so pretty. The mini sentiments looks great on black cardstock using then the cloud white pigment ink from Altenew. Just swipe gently on top so you don't get a lot of ink where you don't want it. You only want it on the raised elements of that embossing folder, and so just a very light hand there to swipe that ink. But look at how cool that comes out. It's like that label maker look. And then this is also a little sneak peek at something that is to come, but we won't talk about that. And just add your sentiment on top, and it's just a really easy way to create a birthday card. One more thing that's a sneak peek that is to come, and then a sentiment on top of that. So these sentiments, like I said, if you just cut them all out at once, then it makes it really easy to just pop them on top of cards. Here's the Ethereal Blooms stamp set. I love this layering set. I always struggle with flower layering sets. I found this one really easy to use. So here are the 4 base flowers. Those are the ones you're going to stamp in the lightest ink. The great things about Altenew inks is that they come in sets of 4. You don't always have to buy all 4 if you don't want to, but buying them in all 4 gives you those layers really easily. So all the colors layer on top of each other perfectly. There's a light, then a slightly darker color, a medium, and then a much darker color. And you can see that that's what I'm using here in pinks. So I think I started with, yes, baby pink, and then fuchsia, and then some magenta, and then the center will be that jazzberry. So these colors, like I mentioned, all coordinate together really well. So it kind of takes the guessing work out of what color is going to work with the last layer and really just does all of that matching for you. I like that they have the dies for this set so you can easily cut them out, and that means you can pop them up and use them with a little bit of dimensional adhesive behind them. That's always a great way to add a little interest to cards. The set also has leaves. Unfortunately, I didn't show the second layer of the leaves, but you can see them up top. They look very realistic and so pretty. Here's that embossing folder, the Botanical rails. I like that just in white. You can definitely ink blend over it and do all kinds of fun things with it, but wow, I just really love the way it looks in white. And so I cut it down to 4x5 1/4, matted it on some Altenew cardstock, and then I have that one little flower popped up, and one of the sentiments, it says, "You are beautiful," right in the center. Really easy card to put together once all those elements are created. Here is that Facet 3D embossing folder. It almost looks like a door, I guess. So I kind of cut it out into that shape and then just added a little cardstock so it was on the sides of it, and then popped up a couple of the flowers that I had left from the ones that I stamped and die cut out, and then just added a little sentiment in the center that's also popped up on some adhesive that just says, "Hello, friend." But embossing that gold cardstock comes out really beautifully. Before you move along to the next stop on the hop, don't forget to comment down below for your chance to win one of the $300 in prizes available. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a wonderful day.